Ma'am, we don't serve your kind here. Perhaps try the McDonald's down the street. The words hung in the air like poison. Brittany, the blonde hostess, smiled as she deliberately tore Maya's reservation printout in half. The paper fluttered to the marble floor at Maya's feet. Around them, the upscale restaurant fell silent. Silverware stopped clinking. Conversations died mid-sentence. Phone cameras emerged from designer handbags, recording every second of the humiliation. Maya stood perfectly still in her tailored navy blazer. Her expression remained calm, almost serene. Only her manicured fingers, tapping once against her Hermes bag, betrayed any emotion. The hostess stepped closer, voice dripping with false concern. "I'm sure you understand. This establishment has certain standards." Maya's lips curved into the faintest smile. "Standards," she repeated softly. "Have you ever been judged by your appearance before anyone knew your true power?" 20 minutes earlier, Maya had confirmed her 8 p.m. reservation through OpenTable. The confirmation email sat in her iPhone. Timestamp clear, 7:42 p.m. She showed the screen to Brittany. "System must have glitched," Brittany said without looking. "We're fully booked through New Year's." Maya glanced past the hostess station. 6 empty tables dotted the dining room, white tablecloths pristine and waiting. The restaurant held maybe 30 people in a space designed for 80. "I see several available tables," Maya said quietly. Brittany's arms crossed over her chest, blocking the entrance. "Those are reserved for our regular clientele, people who fit our atmosphere." The words carried weight beyond their surface meaning. Maya had heard this language before, in boardrooms and country clubs, the careful dance of discrimination dressed in business speak. Derek, the assistant manager, approached with practiced concern. His eyes scanned Maya from head to toe, lingering on her skin color before settling on her face. The assessment took 3 seconds. The judgment, less than 1. "Is there an issue here?" Derek's smile never reached his eyes. "No issue," Maya replied. "Simply honoring a confirmed reservation." At table 12, Zara Martinez looked up from her food blog notes. The 28-year-old influencer had built her following on authentic restaurant reviews. Her phone was already recording when she hit the Instagram Live button. "Hey everyone, Zara here at Meridian Prime," she whispered to her camera. "Something's happening at the hostess station. This is not okay." The viewer count climbed, 47, 89, 156 people watching in real time. Derek positioned himself beside Brittany, creating a human wall. "Ma'am, I'm going to have to ask you to respect our establishment's standards." Standards. Maya's voice held no emotion. She checked her Cartier Santos watch, 8:02 p.m. Interesting word choice. Her phone buzzed against the hostess stand. The caller ID read Goldman Sachs Private Wealth. Maya declined the call without looking. "Look, honey," Brittany's voice dropped to a stage whisper meant to carry. "This isn't a place for food stamps. Maybe try somewhere more budget-friendly." The comment hit like a slap. Conversations at nearby tables stopped entirely. Phones appeared in more hands, cameras rolling. Maya remained statue still. Her fingers found the edge of her handbag, where a black card peeked from the leather fold. Not just any black card. The distinctive design of an American Express Centurion. The card that required a $10,000 annual fee and no preset spending limit. "I have exactly 10 minutes before my business partner arrives," Maya said, checking her watch again. "Would you prefer to resolve this professionally?" Derek stepped closer, invading her personal space. "Ma'am, you need to understand something. We have a reputation to maintain. Our guests expect a certain environment." The coded language wasn't subtle. Maya had faced this before, but never quite so blatantly. These real-life stories of discrimination played out daily across America, hidden behind polite words and business policies. Zara's live stream hit 400 viewers. Comments flooded the screen. This is disgusting! Someone call the manager. What restaurant is this? Film everything! Call security, Derek murmured to Brittany, loud enough for Maya to hear. If she doesn't leave voluntarily... Maya's expression didn't change. If anything, her smile grew slightly. Security, of course. A busboy named Carlos paused near their group, pretending to wipe down the hostess station. His uncomfortable glances between Maya and the managers spoke volumes. He'd seen this script before. 9 minutes, Maya said softly, checking her watch again. Brittany leaned against the hostess stand, confident in her position. Honestly, I don't know why people like you even try places like this. There's a perfectly good Applebee's in the mall. The comment sparked immediate reaction from nearby diners. An elderly white couple at table 6 looked mortified. A young businessman pulled out his phone to record. Even the sommelier stopped mid-pour to stare. Maya's handbag sat open on the hostess counter. Inside, visible to anyone paying attention, was a first-class Emirates boarding pass stub dated 3 days prior. Dubai to JFK, seat 2A. The ticket cost more than most people's monthly salary. Derek, she said, her voice carrying a new edge. Before you continue, you might want to ask yourself one question. What's that? Do you know who you're talking to? Derek's laugh held genuine amusement. Lady, I don't care if you're Oprah Winfrey. This is my restaurant and you're not welcome here. Maya's smile widened. She pulled out her phone and typed a quick message. Confirmed. Option 7 is authorized. Deploy immediately. The reply came within seconds. Understood. ETA 2 minutes. 8 minutes, Maya announced, returning her phone to her purse. The live stream viewer count passed 800. Hashtags began forming organically. #restaurant racism, #Meridian Prime, #discrimination. The touching stories emerging in comments revealed how common these experiences were for black diners across the country. Maya stood perfectly still, hands clasped in front of her. She studied Derek's face, memorizing every detail. This moment would matter later. I'll give you one final opportunity, Derek said. Leave now and we'll forget this happened. Stay, and I call the police for trespassing. Maya checked her watch one last time. 7 minutes remaining. Outside, through the floor-to-ceiling windows, a black Escalade pulled to the curb. The restaurant's general manager emerged from his office like a storm cloud. Richard Whitmore had run Meridian Prime for 12 years, building what he called an exclusive dining experience. His silver hair and expensive suit projected authority earned through decades in upscale hospitality. What's the commotion? Richard's voice carried across the dining room. Derek straightened, sensing backup. Sir, we have a situation. This woman is refusing to leave despite not having a valid reservation. Richard sized up Maya in seconds. His expression shifted almost imperceptibly, the practiced mask of customer service barely concealing his judgment. Ma'am, I understand there's been some confusion, Richard said, his tone suggesting anything but understanding. Unfortunately, we are fully committed this evening. Perhaps I can recommend some excellent establishments more suited to your preferences. Maya's watch read 8:04 p.m. 6 minutes. I'm sorry? Richard leaned forward. 6 minutes until my business partner arrives. We have a confirmed 8 p.m. reservation under Maya. Richard glanced at Derek, who shook his head minutely. The silent communication spoke volumes about their usual coordination. I'm afraid there's no reservation under that name, Richard lied smoothly. Our system shows we're completely booked. At table 12, Zara's live stream had exploded. Over 1,200 viewers watched the confrontation unfold. Comments streamed faster than she could read them. Which restaurant is this? Someone call Channel 7 News. This is 2025, not 1955. Get their names. The hashtag Meridian Prime Racism began trending locally within the Manhattan dining scene. Food bloggers were already sharing the stream, amplifying the reach exponentially. "Sir," Maya said, her voice carrying new steel, "I'm going to ask you once more to honor my confirmed reservation." Richard's smile grew condescending. "Ma'am, I've been in this business for 25 years. I know how to run a restaurant, and I know our clientele. This establishment caters to a very specific demographic." The words hung in the air like an admission of guilt. Several diners gasped audibly. Phone cameras multiplied across the room. "Security is on the way," Derek announced, checking his own watch. "You need to leave now." Two uniformed guards entered through the main entrance. Mike Torres, the senior guard, approached with practiced authority. His partner Carlos Santos hung back, visibly uncomfortable with the situation. "Ma'am, I'm going to have to ask you to leave the premises," Mike said, his hand resting on his radio. Maya studied both guards carefully. Carlos looked young, maybe 25, with kind eyes that kept darting away from the scene. Mike seemed harder, more willing to follow orders without question. "5 minutes," Maya said simply. Richard stepped closer, frustration bleeding through his professional veneer. "This is ridiculous. Mike, please escort this woman out. She's disrupting our guests." The elderly couple at table 6 stood up abruptly. The husband threw his napkin down with disgust. "Check, please. We're leaving." Their waiter hurried over, confused. "Was there something wrong with your meal, sir?" "Yes," the man said loudly enough for half the restaurant to hear. "The management." They walked out, leaving behind a half-finished bottle of wine worth $300. Maya watched them go, her expression unreadable. She pulled out her phone and typed another message. "Acceleration approved. Full deployment in 3 minutes." The response was immediate. "Acknowledged. All assets in position." Zara's viewer count hit 1,800. The comments section had become a torrent of outrage and support. Screenshots were being shared across Twitter, Facebook, and TikTok. The story was escaping the confines of one restaurant, becoming something larger. "Ma'am," Mike said, stepping closer. "I don't want to have to physically remove you, but I will if necessary." Maya looked directly at Carlos. Something in her gaze made him straighten unconsciously. "Officer Santos," she said, reading his name tag. "How long have you worked security?" Carlos blinked, surprised to be addressed directly. 6 months, ma'am." "Do you enjoy your job?" Richard interrupted sharply. "Don't engage with her, Carlos. Just do your job." But Carlos found himself answering anyway. "Most days, yes, ma'am. We mainly handle small disputes, nothing like—" He gestured helplessly at the scene. 4 minutes, Maya announced. Brittany had been watching from behind the hostess stand, growing more agitated. "This is insane! Why are we even entertaining this? Just drag her out!" Her raised voice carried across the restaurant. The business executive at table 8 was now openly recording with his phone. A food critic from New York Magazine looked up from her notes, recognizing the makings of a career-ending scandal. Richard made a decision. "Mike, Carlos, please escort this woman from the premises immediately. Use whatever force necessary." The words would later be analyzed frame by frame in the viral videos. Whatever force necessary against a calm, well-dressed woman asking to honor a reservation. Maya checked her watch, 8:07 p.m. 3 minutes. She reached into her handbag and pulled out her phone. The Goldman Sachs contact was calling again. This time she answered. "Maya speaking. Yes, the preliminary assessment is complete. Confirmed for immediate execution. Thank you." The call lasted 15 seconds. Everyone in earshot heard her end. "Proceed with the acquisition." Richard laughed dismissively. "Acquisition? Lady, what are you going to acquire? A Happy Meal?" Derek joined the laughter. Even Brittany smirked at what seemed like an elaborate bluff. Maya returned her phone to her purse and checked her watch again. 2 minutes. Outside, the black Escalade's engine continued running. Through the tinted windows, figures moved in the back seat. Official-looking documents exchanged hands. Zara's live stream broke 2,000 viewers. Local news stations were monitoring social media feeds, recognizing a developing story. The restaurant's own security cameras captured every word, every gesture, building an incontrovertible record. "Final warning," Mike said, moving toward Maya. "Come with us voluntarily or we'll arrest you for trespassing." Maya stepped backward toward the entrance, her hands visible and non-threatening. "I'll wait outside then, for exactly 90 seconds more." She moved toward the door with quiet dignity. Richard called after her, "And don't come back. This restaurant doesn't serve people like you." The words echoed across the dining room. Multiple camera phones captured his face as he said it. The hostility, the arrogance, the complete confidence in his position. Maya paused at the threshold and turned back. For the first time all evening, she smiled genuinely. "Mr. Whitmore," she said clearly, "you're absolutely right. After tonight, this restaurant will never serve people like me again." Something in her tone made Richard's triumph falter. The smile was wrong somehow. Too confident. Too knowing. Maya stepped outside into the cool evening air. Through the windows, she could see the staff gathering, celebrating their victory. Brittany was actually high-fiving Derek. She checked her watch one final time. 8:09 p.m. "Showtime," she whispered to herself. The Escalade's doors opened. A tall man in a charcoal Tom Ford suit emerged from the Escalade. James Morrison carried himself with the quiet authority of someone accustomed to high-stakes negotiations. His briefcase bore the embossed logo of Morrison & Associates, one of Manhattan's most prestigious corporate law firms. Maya met him on the sidewalk. "Right on time, James." "The paperwork is finalized," he said, handing her a leather portfolio. "Signed, sealed, and filed with the state at exactly 8:05 p.m. Inside the restaurant, Richard watched through the window with growing unease. The woman who'd just been escorted out was conducting what appeared to be a business meeting. "Who is that guy?" Derek asked, squinting at the well-dressed lawyer. "Probably her cousin or something," Brittany said dismissively. "People like her always try to make themselves look important." Maya opened the portfolio and reviewed the documents inside. Her signature appeared on the final page next to an official notary seal. The timestamp read 8:05 p.m., exactly 4 minutes ago. "Shall we proceed with the announcement?" James asked. Maya looked through the restaurant's windows. Inside, the staff had returned to their stations, confident in their victory. Richard was glad handing a table of regular customers, probably spinning the story of how he'd handled an unfortunate situation. "Let's give them another minute to enjoy their success," Maya said. James checked his watch. "The wire transfer cleared at 8:07. Legal ownership transferred simultaneously. We're operating within all regulatory requirements." At Table 12, Zara's live stream had reached 2,400 viewers. The comments section moved too fast to follow, but she caught glimpses. "What's happening outside? Who is that man? This is getting crazy." Maya and James approached the restaurant entrance. Through the glass doors, they could see the hostess station where this confrontation had begun just minutes earlier. "Ready?" James asked. "I've been ready for this moment for years," Maya replied. They entered together. The hostess station fell silent as every eye in the restaurant tracked their movement. Brittany looked confused, Derek appeared nervous, and Richard's confident expression began to waver. "Excuse me," Richard called out. "I thought I made it clear that you weren't welcome here." Maya stopped at the hostess station, exactly where she'd stood 15 minutes earlier. James positioned himself beside her, briefcase in hand. "Mr. Whitmore," Maya said calmly, "I'd like to introduce you to James Morrison, senior partner at Morrison & Associates. He's here regarding a business matter." Richard's laugh sounded forced. "Lady, I don't know what game you're playing, but this restaurant isn't for sale." "Actually," James said, opening his briefcase, "it was. As of 8:05 p.m. this evening, the sale is complete." He withdrew a tablet and activated the screen. The document displayed was unmistakably legal. Corporate letterhead, official seals, notarized signatures. "This is ridiculous," Derek said, but his voice lacked conviction. James turned the tablet toward the gathered staff. The header read, "Asset Acquisition Agreement, Meridian Prime Restaurant." Maya stepped closer to Richard. "Effective immediately, Mr. Whitmore, your employment is terminated. You have 30 minutes to collect your personal belongings and leave the premises." The words hit like a physical blow. Richard's face went white, then red with rage. "You can't fire me. I've been here 12 years. This is impossible." James consulted his tablet. According to the employment contract on file, all staff serve at the pleasure of the ownership entity. As of 8:05 p.m., that entity is Maya Hospitality Group. Maya reached into her handbag and withdrew a business card. She placed it on the hostess station where her torn reservation had fallen 20 minutes earlier. The card read, "Maya, Chief Executive Officer, Hospitality Group." Silence fell across the restaurant like a curtain. Every conversation stopped. Silverware hung suspended in midair. The only sound was the quiet hum of the air conditioning system. Brittany stared at the card, her mouth opening and closing like a fish. But you're black?" Maya finished calmly. "Yes, I'm also the owner of 47 restaurants across the tri-state area. As of tonight, 48. Derek backed away from the hostess station as if it had become toxic. "This can't be real. This is some kind of scam." James produced additional documents from his briefcase. Wire transfer confirmation for $4.7 million, completed at 8:07 p.m. New York State business registration, filed at 8:06 p.m. Corporate tax documents, submitted electronically at 8:08 p.m. The numbers were specific, official, impossible to fake in real time. Maya had acquired the restaurant while standing outside being humiliated by its staff. "Carlos," Maya said, addressing the younger security guard directly. "Effective immediately, you're promoted to head of security for this location. Your new salary is $65,000 annually, plus benefits." Carlos blinked hard, struggling to process what was happening. "Ma'am, I don't understand." "You showed respect when others showed prejudice," Maya said simply. "That matters." She turned to Mike, the senior guard. "Your conduct tonight violated basic human dignity protocols. You're suspended pending review." Mike's confidence evaporated. "You can't just walk in here and—" "Actually," James interjected, "she can. Legal ownership grants full operational authority." Zara's live stream had exploded to over 3,000 viewers. The comments were moving so fast, they created a blur of excitement and disbelief. Screenshots of Maya's business card were already circulating on Twitter. Richard found his voice, though it cracked with desperation. "This is a setup. Some kind of elaborate revenge fantasy." Maya pulled out her phone and showed him the screen. The Goldman Sachs private wealth management app displayed her account summary. The numbers were staggering. More money than most people would see in 10 lifetimes. "Mr. Whitmore, this isn't revenge. This is business." She gestured toward the dining room, where several tables sat empty despite Richard's claims of being fully booked. "Your management style has created a 23% decline in diverse clientele over the past 2 years," Maya continued. "That translates to approximately $1.1 million in lost annual revenue." James consulted his tablet. "Market analysis indicates significant profit potential through inclusive service policies." The specific numbers carried weight. These weren't emotional accusations, but data-driven business decisions. "Derek Morrison, your position as assistant manager is terminated effective immediately," Maya announced. "Brittany Foster, your employment is likewise terminated for violation of anti-discrimination policies." Brittany finally found her voice. "You can't do this to us. We were just following protocols." "Whose protocols?" Maya asked. The question hung in the air. Everyone knew the answer. The discrimination hadn't been written policy, but cultural enforcement by management. Maya addressed the remaining staff. Every other employee will receive full review within 48 hours. Those committed to inclusive service will be retained with enhanced training and compensation. A busboy near the kitchen began clapping slowly. Another server joined in. Within moments, applause spread across the restaurant from both staff and customers. Richard's face had progressed through shock to rage to something approaching panic. "This won't stand. I'll sue. I'll fight this in court." James opened another folder. "Mr. Whitmore, you're welcome to pursue legal action. However, I should mention that tonight's events were recorded by multiple witnesses, including restaurant security cameras and social media live streams." He gestured toward Zara, whose phone was still capturing everything. "Additionally, we've documented a pattern of discriminatory practices spanning several years through customer complaints and staff reports." Maya checked her watch. 8:15 p.m. Exactly 15 minutes since her business partner was supposed to arrive. "James, please explain the broader context to Mr. Whitmore." James nodded professionally. "Ms. Maya's acquisition tonight was part of a larger market correction strategy. Maya Hospitality Group has been monitoring establishments with concerning diversity metrics across the region." He paused to let that sink in. This restaurant's reputation for exclusionary practices made it a prime candidate for intervention. The word intervention carried layers of meaning. This wasn't random revenge, but systematic change. Maya turned to address the entire restaurant. "Ladies and gentlemen, I apologize for the disruption to your evening. Management will cover tonight's meals for all current guests." Spontaneous applause erupted from several tables. The elderly couple who'd walked out earlier had apparently stopped outside to watch through the windows. They were applauding too. "But there's something else you should know," Maya continued. The room fell silent again, waiting. This story, these black stories of discrimination in upscale establishments, they happen every day across America. Tonight was different only because someone had the resources to respond immediately. Her words carried quiet power, addressing the broader systemic issues without preaching. "Starting tomorrow, this restaurant will implement new policies ensuring every guest receives equal treatment regardless of race, religion, or background." James consulted his watch. "Ma'am, we should discuss the operational transition timeline." Maya nodded. "Of course. But first, I believe Mr. Whitmore has 30 minutes to collect his belongings." Richard stood frozen, still processing the complete reversal of his reality. 20 minutes ago, he'd been the authority figure ejecting an unwanted customer. Now he was unemployed, his career in upscale hospitality effectively over. "This isn't possible," he whispered. Maya's expression softened slightly. "Mr. Whitmore, discrimination isn't just morally wrong, it's bad business. Tonight, you learned both lessons simultaneously." She turned toward the dining room, where customers and staff watched with rapt attention. "Now," Maya said, her voice carrying across the restaurant, "let's talk about how we're going to make this the most welcoming establishment in Manhattan." Maya led the group toward the restaurant's private dining room, a space typically reserved for high-end corporate events. The irony wasn't lost on anyone. The same establishment that had rejected her 20 minutes earlier now served as her boardroom. James activated a wall-mounted display screen and connected his tablet. Financial documents appeared in crisp detail, numbers that would reshape lives and careers. "For the record," James announced to the assembled staff, "the acquisition was completed through standard market channels. Maya Hospitality Group submitted a competitive bid of $4.7 million at 7:45 p.m. this evening." Richard's voice cracked with desperation. "That's impossible. The owners would have consulted me about any sale discussions." Maya settled into the head chair with quiet authority. "Mr. Whitmore, you seem confused about your role here. You were never an owner, merely an employee." She gestured to the screen, where ownership documents displayed clear corporate structures. "The Hendricks family has owned this property since 1987. They've been exploring divestment opportunities for 18 months due to declining profits." James pulled up financial reports spanning 3 years. The numbers painted a stark picture of gradual revenue decline. Under your management, Maya continued, this restaurant has lost $1.3 million in potential annual revenue through exclusionary practices. The data was devastating. Customer surveys showed consistent patterns. Reviewers of color frequently mentioned feeling unwelcome, resulting in negative online ratings that damaged the restaurant's broader reputation. A simple demographic analysis reveals the problem, James said, highlighting specific metrics. Manhattan's dining population is 34% Black and Latino. This restaurant's customer base is less than 8% minority. Derek shifted uncomfortably. We never turned away paying customers. Didn't you? Maya's voice carried quiet steel. Tonight alone, you rejected a confirmed reservation, suggested I try McDonald's, and threatened me with arrest. She paused, letting the words sink in. How many other potential customers received similar treatment over the past 12 years? The question hung in the air like an indictment. Staff members exchanged uncomfortable glances, remembering incidents they'd witnessed or participated in. Maya stood and approached the financial display. Let me show you what inclusive hospitality looks like. She pulled up revenue reports from 3 other Maya hospitality properties, restaurants in similar neighborhoods with comparable price points. The Meridian in Tribeca serves a 41% minority clientele, annual revenue $6.2 million. Maya's Table in Soho, 38% minority customers, annual revenue $5.8 million. Golden Dragon Uptown, 45% minority clientele, annual revenue $7.1 million. The numbers spoke for themselves. Inclusive policies weren't just morally correct, they were profitable. This establishment, Maya continued, grossed $3.9 million last year. You're leaving approximately $2 million annually on the table through discriminatory practices. Richard's face had gone ashen. The mathematical reality of his management failures was undeniable. Now, Maya said, returning to her seat, let's discuss immediate operational changes. James distributed printed documents to the remaining staff. The pages outlined comprehensive policy reforms that would transform the restaurant's culture. Effective immediately, all staff will undergo 40 hours of unconscious bias training, Maya announced. This training is mandatory for continued employment. She looked directly at Derek, who was frantically reading his termination letter. Mr. Morrison, your discriminatory conduct tonight violated federal civil rights statutes. Specifically, Title II of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, which prohibits discrimination in public accommodations. Derek's hands shook as he read the legal language. I was just following standard procedures. Whose procedures? Maya asked again. Show me the written policy that instructs staff to reject Black customers. Derek couldn't answer because no such policy existed in writing. The discrimination had been cultural, enforced through unspoken understanding and management example. James consulted his legal notes. Mr. Morrison, your statements tonight were recorded by multiple witnesses, suggesting that a customer try McDonald's based on their race constitutes clear discriminatory intent. The legal framework was solid. Maya's team had documented everything carefully, building an airtight case. Here's what happens next, Maya said, addressing the entire group. Mr. Whitmore and Mr. Morrison, you have 30 minutes to collect personal belongings and leave. Security will escort you from the building. She turned to Carlos, who still seemed stunned by his promotion. Carlos, your first assignment as head of security is ensuring they leave peacefully. Carlos straightened, finding his voice. Yes, ma'am, I understand. Maya continued outlining the transition plan. All remaining staff will receive comprehensive review within 48 hours. Those demonstrating commitment to inclusive service will be retained with enhanced compensation. She pulled up salary charts on the display. The numbers were impressive. Across-the-board raises averaging 15% for staff who completed bias training successfully. Additionally, We're implementing performance metrics based on customer satisfaction across all demographic groups. James distributed tablets showing the new evaluation system. Staff would be assessed not just on service quality, but on their ability to make every customer feel welcome. Monthly mystery shopper programs will test service consistency, Maya explained. Bonuses will be tied to positive reviews from diverse customer bases. The carrot and stick approach was clear. Staff who embraced inclusive practices would prosper. Those who didn't would find themselves unemployed. Brittany, who'd been silent since her termination, finally spoke up. "This is discrimination against us. You're firing white people." Maya's expression didn't change. "Ms. Foster, you're not being terminated for your race. You're being terminated for telling a customer that the restaurant doesn't serve her kind." The distinction was crucial. Performance-based termination for discriminatory conduct was legally defensible. Racial bias was not. Furthermore, James added, the new management team will reflect the community's diversity. We're actively recruiting qualified candidates from all backgrounds. Maya stood again, addressing the broader implications. This isn't about punishment. It's about transformation. This restaurant will become a model for inclusive hospitality throughout the industry. She pulled up architectural plans on the screen, proposed renovations that would make the space more welcoming to diverse clientele. We're investing an additional $800,000 in renovations and staff development over the next 6 months. The commitment was substantial, demonstrating serious intent beyond symbolic gestures. Monthly community events will showcase cuisines and cultures from across the neighborhood, Maya continued. Local artists will display work in rotating exhibitions. The vision was comprehensive, not just ending discrimination, but actively celebrating diversity. Richard made one final desperate attempt. "You can't just waltz in here and destroy everything I've built." Maya's voice remained calm. "Mr. Whitmore, what exactly did you build? A restaurant that alienated a third of its potential customer base? An establishment with declining revenues and toxic workplace culture?" She gestured toward the financial reports still displayed on screen. "You built a business model based on exclusion. Tonight, we're replacing it with inclusion." James checked his watch. "Legal transition is complete. All employment contracts have been modified or terminated as discussed." Maya nodded. "Carlos, please escort Mr. Whitmore and Mr. Morrison to collect their belongings." As the disgraced managers left the dining room, the remaining staff seemed to exhale collectively. The oppressive atmosphere that had defined the restaurant's culture was lifting. "Questions?" Maya asked the remaining team. A server named Maria raised her hand tentatively. "Will we really get training on how to serve everyone equally?" "Not just training," Maya replied. "We're partnering with Cornell's School of Hotel Administration to develop a comprehensive hospitality equity program." The academic partnership added credibility and depth to the transformation. Additionally, staff will receive cultural competency education and language support for better customer communication. Maya pulled up employment statistics from her other properties. Employee retention rates were significantly higher at inclusive restaurants, creating more experienced professional service teams. "These changes aren't charity," she emphasized. "They're smart business. Inclusive restaurants consistently outperform exclusive ones in revenue, employee satisfaction, and customer loyalty." The data backed up every claim. This wasn't idealistic social engineering, but proven business strategy. "Anyone uncomfortable with serving all customers equally is welcome to seek employment elsewhere," Maya said diplomatically. "This transition is voluntary for existing staff, but commitment must be genuine." She looked around the room, meeting each person's eyes. "Tomorrow, we begin rebuilding this restaurant's reputation. Not through marketing campaigns or publicity stunts, but through consistent, excellent service for every single customer." The transformation had begun. 6 weeks later, Maya returned to the restaurant for her first official dinner as owner. The transformation was remarkable, not just in decor, but in atmosphere. The space hummed with genuine warmth instead of manufactured exclusivity. Keisha Williams, the new hostess, greeted her with professional enthusiasm. "Good evening, Miss Maya. Your table is ready." The young black woman had been promoted from server after completing the hospitality equity program with distinction. Her presence at the front desk sent an immediate message about the restaurant's new values. Maya surveyed the dining room as she walked to her table. The clientele reflected Manhattan's true diversity: families of various backgrounds enjoying special occasions, business professionals conducting deals, couples celebrating anniversaries. Carlos approached in his new head of security uniform, confidence replacing the uncertainty she'd seen that first night. "Ms. Maya, how are the new protocols working?" she asked. "Beautifully," Carlos replied. "We've had 0 discrimination incidents since reopening. Customer satisfaction scores are up 47%. The numbers told the story better than any speech. Maya's data-driven approach was producing measurable results. At table 12, the same spot where Zara had live-streamed the original confrontation, a family was celebrating a grandmother's birthday. The elderly Latina woman was surrounded by 3 generations, their laughter carrying across the restaurant. "That's Mrs. Rodriguez," Keisha mentioned as she seated Maya. "She said she'd never felt comfortable in upscale restaurants before. Now she comes twice a month with different family members." These real-life stories of transformation were multiplying throughout the community. Word-of-mouth recommendations from previously excluded customers were driving significant new business. Maya opened the redesigned menu, which now featured dishes representing the neighborhood's cultural diversity alongside traditional American cuisine. The Colombian arroz con pollo sat beside classic beef Wellington, both prepared by the expanded kitchen team. "How's the staff transition progressing?" Maya asked Maria, her server from that first night. "It's been incredible," Maria replied. "The training wasn't just about bias. We learned about different cultural dining customs, dietary restrictions, communication styles. I'm a better server for everyone now." The comprehensive education program had exceeded expectations. Staff members reported feeling more confident and professional, equipped to serve any customer who walked through the door. Maya's phone buzzed with a text from James. "Monthly review complete. Revenue up 34% from same period last year. Staff retention at 96%. The financial turnaround had been swift and substantial. Inclusive policies weren't just ethically correct, they were dramatically profitable. During dessert, Maya noticed a familiar face at the bar. Richard Whitmore sat alone, nursing a whiskey and staring at his former domain. Their eyes met across the room. Maya approached his table with measured steps. "Mr. Whitmore?" Richard looked up with a mixture of shame and resentment. "Congratulations. You got what you wanted." "This was never about what I wanted," Maya replied calmly. "It was about what the community needed." She gestured toward the diverse crowd of diners. "Look around. This is what a successful restaurant looks like." Richard followed her gaze, taking in the vibrant atmosphere he'd never cultivated. "I never meant to exclude anyone." "Intent matters less than impact," Maya said gently. "But it's not too late to learn." She placed a business card on his table, not her own, but for a hospitality consulting firm specializing in diversity training. "When you're ready to rebuild your career, call them. Tell them I recommended you for their management rehabilitation program." The gesture surprised him. After everything that had happened, she was offering a path forward rather than permanent exile. "Why would you help me?" Richard asked. "Because transformation is possible for everyone," Maya replied, "including you." She returned to her table where dessert was waiting. The chocolate soufflé had been prepared by Jean-Claude, a Haitian pastry chef hired as part of the kitchen expansion. His addition had elevated the entire dessert program while adding authentic Caribbean influences. As Maya finished her meal, she reflected on the broader impact. The restaurant's transformation had inspired similar changes throughout the hospitality industry. Other establishments were proactively implementing bias training and diversity initiatives rather than waiting for intervention. The touching stories emerging from these changes extended far beyond one restaurant. Families were discovering new venues where they felt genuinely welcome. Young professionals of color were advancing in hospitality careers previously closed to them. Maya's phone showed dozens of messages from other business owners seeking guidance on inclusive practices. The model she'd created was spreading organically across the industry. "Ms. Maya," Keisha approached with a tablet. "The 9 p.m. reservation just arrived? The Maya party of 8? Maya smiled, recognizing the family name. Her own extended family was joining her to celebrate the restaurant's official reopening and the success of the transformation. As her relatives filled the table, sharing stories and laughter in English and Mandarin, Maya felt a deep sense of completion. This space that had once rejected her now embraced not just her, but everyone who sought genuine hospitality. The revolution was quiet but profound. One restaurant, one policy, one interaction at a time. 3 months after that transformative evening, Maya's story had become something larger than one restaurant's redemption. The video of her revelation had been viewed over 8.7 million times across social platforms, inspiring countless discussions about discrimination in upscale establishments. Harvard Business School featured the Meridian Prime case study in their executive education program. The curriculum examined how strategic intervention could address systemic bias while improving business performance. Students analyzed Maya's approach as a model for corporate social responsibility with measurable results. The restaurant industry felt the ripple effects nationwide. The National Restaurant Association updated their diversity guidelines, incorporating principles pioneered at Meridian Prime. Over 200 establishments had implemented similar bias training programs, creating a movement toward genuine inclusivity. Maya received speaking invitations from business schools, civil rights organizations, and hospitality conferences. Her message remained consistent. Equality wasn't just morally imperative, it was financially smart. When businesses exclude potential customers based on prejudice, she told audiences, they're not just harming individuals, they're sabotaging their own success. The personal impact stories continued multiplying. Zara's original live stream had launched her career as a social justice advocate. She now worked with restaurants nationwide, conducting diversity audits and training programs. Carlos had enrolled in business school, planning to open his own inclusive establishment. Even Brittany, the former hostess, had enrolled in sensitivity training and was working to rebuild her career in customer service. These life stories demonstrated that change was possible for everyone willing to grow. Maya's phone buzzed with a text from her business partner, David. "Portland acquisition approved. Same transformation model?" She smiled, typing back, "Always." Maya Hospitality Group had grown to 73 properties across 12 states. Each acquisition followed the Meridian Prime playbook, identifying establishments with exclusionary practices, purchasing them, and implementing comprehensive reform. The business model proved remarkably successful. Inclusive, restaurants consistently outperformed their previous discriminatory incarnations by 20 to 40% in revenue. Employee satisfaction surveys showed dramatic improvements in workplace culture and professional development opportunities. Maya stood outside the original Meridian Prime, watching the evening crowd arrive. Young professionals, elderly couples, families with children, all backgrounds, all welcomed with genuine enthusiasm. A teenage girl approached hesitantly. "Excuse me, are you Maya?" "I am." "My mom showed me your video. She said you proved that one person can change everything." Maya smiled, remembering her own moments of doubt and determination. Not one person. Many people choosing to do better, one interaction at a time. The girl nodded seriously. "I want to open a restaurant someday. Can I ask you something?" "Of course." "How do you make sure you never become the person you once fought against?" The question revealed wisdom beyond the girl's years. Power could corrupt even those who'd experienced powerlessness. "You remember where you came from," Maya replied, "and you listen when others tell you their stories." As the girl walked away, Maya reflected on the journey. From humiliation to transformation, from individual injustice to systemic change. The real victory wasn't owning restaurants, it was creating spaces where everyone belonged. Your experiences matter. Have you witnessed discrimination in restaurants or businesses? Share your story in the comments below. These Black stories and real-life stories help expose patterns that need changing. If this resonates with your experiences, hit subscribe and the bell icon for more touching stories of people transforming injustice into positive change. Share this video with someone who needs to see that strategic action can create powerful, lasting reform. Together, we can build a more inclusive world, one business at a time. What systemic changes would you implement if you had Maya's influence? Let's discuss solutions that move beyond individual incidents to create industry-wide transformation.